Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
All members are present.
At this time, I'm going to ask if we can have a motion to suspend all council rules that require us to meet in person and vote in person. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend all rules that require us to meet in person.
So we have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second by Councilman Malik?
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Motion passes 13-0.
At this time, can we please have a motion to approve the minutes from our previously held meeting? Councilman Fusco.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of the previously held meeting.
We have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second by Councilman Swirsky?
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Passes 13-0.
We do have 4 public hearings on this evening. So I'm going to ask at this time if clerk will read in item number 1.
Legal notice for item number 1. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, June 22nd, 2020, during the special meeting of council at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing the text change to permit ordinary industry use district U5 within UPD 48.
Mr. Antonucci. Mr. Antonucci, are you presenting on this?
Yes. Thank you, Madam President, members of council. In 2013, the city established a new Unified Plan Development District, the UPD 48, on several current and former Bridgestone, Firestone properties. At the time, a mixed-use residential retail redevelopment was envisioned for the area. The UPD established permitted uses ranging from apartments to retail and commercial. That plan has not been realized, and the city and Bridgestone have determined that commercial and industrial uses are more appropriate reuses of the existing buildings or redevelopment of the properties. In an effort to promote and assist with present and future redevelopment within the Firestone Business Park, planning staff has developed a list of amendments to UPD 48 that it believes would lead to an appropriate redevelopment of the district by removing residential uses while expanding to allow industrial uses. At the same time, certain inappropriate new commercial uses, such as auto sales or body shops, would be eliminated. And both Planning Commission and planning staff recommend approval.
Thank you so much, Mr. Antonucci. I know we do not have anyone who registered to speak in favor or against this ordinance. Is there any other further comments or questions? I don't know, Mr. Hardy, if you have any.
No, Madam President, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone does.
Do we have any comments or questions from any council members at this time? Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. Swirsky,
Yes.
Kamer,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Baylor.
Aye.
The report is favorable, and we're asking for a suspension of the rules.
Any further comments, Councilman Fusco?
No, this is this is going to pave the way so that we can develop that area around the Firestone Parkway area and make room for legally through the zoning process for industrial development. So we're asking for approval this evening.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from any other council members at this time? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. I'm bringing in the petitioner for the next public hearing. The legal notice for that is, notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, June 22nd, 2020, during the special meeting of council at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish an adult daycare service in an industrial district at 730 Carroll Street.
Thank you so much. At this time, we do have petitioners who have registered to speak in regards to this ordinance. So I'm just going to ask that there's anyone who is speaking in regards to 730 Carroll Street that you be sworn in by a member of our law department at this time.
Mrs. Chen, can you hear me? You need to unmute your microphone. Mrs. Chen, can you unmute your microphone, please?
See if I can help her.
Okay.
She's unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Chen, do you have audio, or do you have video on your computer?
I'm sending you a request to start video if you click on that, Mrs. Chen.
Mrs. Chen, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mrs. Chen?
Nina, can we unmute her?
She is not muted. I'm wondering if she doesn't have a microphone.
Mrs. Chin, could you wave if you can hear me?
Okay.
Are you speaking? Can you try and talk? We can't hear you, so you may need to call in. Would she be able to call in, Nina?
Yes. Mrs. Chen, let me get you that information. I'm going to put it into the chat.
Mr. York, I can hear you. I just don't think anyone else can.
No, she could hear me. She just doesn't have a microphone. So we're going to get that squared away. Thank you, though.
Mrs. Chen, if you look in the chat, there is a phone number that you can call. It will ask for a meeting ID and password. Those are also in the chat.
And then, Mr. York, I'm wondering, is it possible that we could take this one out of order just to give Mrs. Chen some time to call in?
Yes, it looks like the audio is in the waiting room. It's joining right now. I
Okay,
believe
perfect.
They're just going to have to put in their password here.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can, Mrs. Chen. Thank you so
Yes?
much.
Okay.
All right. No problem. So at this time, Mrs. Chen, we're going
You
to
want
have
me
you
to-
to be sworn. We're going to have you to be sworn in by a member of our law department, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Chin, please raise your right hand. Do you swear?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give will be the truth? Nothing but the truth?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
name is May Chen. My address is 4067 North Shore Drive, Akron, Ohio, 44333.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Chen. At this time, go ahead. You can go ahead with your comments. That's fine.
Okay. We requested the zoning to change to commercial from industrial to commercial so that we can start a culturally and linguistically relevant adult daycare center. We believe it is very important in the community as it is a very effective way to begin to address some of the issues with health disparity in our community, especially among the new immigrants from the Asian American community.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Mrs.
finished.
Chen.
Thank you.
Mr. Antonucci? Do you have anything, Mr. Antonucci?
She just about covered it. I would just add that both Planning Commission and the planning staff recommend approval subject to the conditions.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee. Swirsky,
Aye.
Kramer? Aye. Samples
Aye.
and Baylor?
Aye.
Yes, thank you. The committee's report is favorable. Ask for suspension
Thank you.
of the
Thank you
rules.
so much. Councilwoman Mobian, do you have your hand up?
Yes. Yes,
Go ahead.
Yes, I did. Okay, I just want to comment that maybe council members may or may not know, but we have a legend in our midst. Mrs. May Chan is the founder of the Asian health agency that's now located on Market Street. Matter of fact, they changed the name for her. And I just want you to know that she has done great things for this city and this community, particularly for the Asian community. And it's so good to see her here. And I just want you to know that. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Mobian, for sharing that with us. At this time, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. I'm going to bring in the participants for the next public hearing. Mhm. Okay. Legal notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the council of the city of Akron on Monday, June 29th, 2020, during the special meeting of council at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an oversized garage at 506 Darrow Road.
Thank you so much. So I do believe we have John Phillips, who is going to bring forth comments on this ordinance. And Mr. Phillips, if you can hear us, at this time, we are going to actually have you to be sworn in by a member of our law department.
Mr. Phillips, can you hear me? Can you unmute your microphone?
There you go.
Mute. Okay, unmute.
Okay, you're currently on mute.
Huh,
There you go. We can hear you now.
there we go.
Okay, Mr.
All right.
Phillips, can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So at this time, Mr. Antonucci, could you please bring forth your comments first?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of council, John Phillips is requesting permission to construct a 28-foot by 44-foot detached garage on this property. It's approximately 17 feet tall. The structure will be a pole barn set on a cement base with metal roof and siding. An oversized garage constructed at that location on the property would not be out of character for that neighborhood due to the large property and low density of structures in the area, and as such should not have a negative impact on surrounding properties. The garage would only be used for residential purposes. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you so much. So at this time, Mr. Phillips, you can bring forth your comments.
Okay, I don't really know what to say, but I'm just hoping that I can get approval to build this. It's going to be used for my own vehicles and a home workshop. So that's my purpose for building it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phillips. At this time, Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Gorski? Gorski?
Yes, aye.
Kamer?
Aye.
Samples?
Aye.
Baylor?
Aye.
Yes, thank you. You've heard the favorable report, Madam President. The committee recommends approval for this proposed conditional use.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. We have one person coming in for the final public hearing. He's connecting to audio. Okay. Legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, June 29th, 2020, during the special meeting of council at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a retail use at 116 East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue.
Thank you so much. Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of council. Mr. Tunn is requesting permission to convert the first floor unit of the dwelling at 116 East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue into a retail business and sells convenience store items while continuing to use the second floor unit and the rear dwelling for residential purposes. The store will contain an area of 672 square feet on the first floor for the sale of convenience store type items and products and goods that will cater to the Asian community, which is settled within this North Hill neighborhood. The front yard will have asphalt paving to accommodate parking for 2 vehicles. It's anticipated the majority of business to the store will be from within walking distance in the neighborhood. The store will provide a service to all residents of the North Hill neighborhood, as well as promote a new business within the Temple Square Great Streets District. And both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you so much. I do believe that we have someone on the line currently that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. I'm just going to ask if you will be sworn in by a member of our law department before you deliver remarks. Mr. York?
Thank you. Mr. Camp, could you unmute your microphone, please?
Yes.
Okay, could you raise your right hand?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be testing. You're going to be testing your father. Is that correct?
Yes, he's right there with me.
Okay. He's raising his hand as well. Sir, I'm going to swear you both in.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, you can bring forth your comments. Mr. Payne, can you hear us? You can bring forth your comments in support of this ordinance at this time.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Do you have any thing that you'd like to share with council as regards to this before we vote on it?
I do not at the moment. I just helping my dad's out. It's all what he wanted to do. So I have an obligation to help him out as much as I could. That's where I'm standing right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much. At this time, Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to, if the petitioner has any comments, we're willing to take them, but short of that, I'd like to pull the committee to refer this item, as there's a couple council members wanted to go out and check out the site and look at this a lot closer. So with that, I'd like to pull the committee to refer this item. Swirsky?
Aye.
Kamer?
Aye.
Samples?
Aye.
And Baylor?
Aye.
Thank you. The report of the committee to refer this item.
Okay. This item will be referred. I do see that Councilman Lombardo does have a question or a statement.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just Mr. Tunn, I have visited with you once, and since then I've visited the property about 5 times. So I know this item has been referred, but we will need to discuss many concerns that I have regarding the retail use of that space. I have up to about 8 concerns that I've discussed. So, this week I'd still like to get together with you and go over all that as this item is being referred. So we'll continue next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Lombardo. At this time, we're going to move into our old business. Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. What I'd like to do is request that we take time on 5 through and including item number 13. And then the request of committees to file 14 and 15. As we just had those, we had just voted on those 2 items. And then time on the balance of the agenda.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, I assume then we're going to go through the committees and then go through last week's agenda as well next. Or should we do that now?
We're gonna continue to kind of go through this agenda. We're first going to make sure that public service, Councilwoman Samples, on old agenda. Do you have anything?
Time. I have 2 on here. Time.
Okay, so time will be granted on public service. Now we will move into new legislation, particularly items that we could not address on June 22nd, okay? Rules, and I'm going to ask that the clerk will read them in.
Item number 1, offered by President Somerville, Councilman Fusco, Councilman Swirsky. Resolution declaring the month of September as Akron Welcoming Month in the city of Akron, Ohio, to honor the history, culture, and contributions of all immigrants and refugees to the city of Akron and Summit County, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
Yes, the committee's report is favorable. We're asking for its passage, suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Freeman?
I would defer to one of the members of council leadership that sponsored this, if you would like to say a word.
Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. This is Akron City Council. We're doubling down, if you will, on the that welcoming concept that originally was passed in 2015. We declared Akron a welcoming community. Now what we're going to do is take that and and kind of supersize it, if you will, and utilize the entire month of September as just that, a welcoming month. However, with that, our challenges are going to be many, because what we want to do, our goal here, is to have discussions throughout Akron, throughout our community, meaningful discussions about the differences between each of us, between our neighbors, between one another. And we want to be successful with that. So with that, it's going to take all hands on deck. It's going to take all of council, all the community to come together and develop a strategy and a plan to develop funding in order for us to do this and to do this right. And I ask my colleagues for their support on this particular item, and look forward to the work that's about to happen.
Thank you so much, Councilman Fusco. Are there any additional comments or questions from any council members at this time? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky. Swirsky,
Aye. Sorry.
that's okay, thank you. This ordinance resolution passes 13-0. Item number 2, offered by President Somerville, Councilman Fusco, Councilman Swirsky, and Councilman Lombardo. Resolution recognizing and declaring the second Monday in October as Italian American Heritage and Culture Day in the city of Akron, Ohio, to honor the history, culture, and contributions of the Italian American community to the city of Akron and Summit County, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, again, the committee's report was favorable, and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Freeman.
Yeah, thank you again to council leadership. I know there's been a lot of time and effort and work that has gone into this piece of legislation, or resolution rather. And again, I would offer either Mr. Fusco, Ms. Somerville, or Mr. Swirsky, in that they were the sponsors. If you'd like to add some comments, we'd certainly welcome those.
Thank you so much. I'm going to defer to Councilman Fusco.
Okay, thank you, President Somerville. Just that, and I appreciate all of council's patience on this. I want to thank those from the Italian community and those from the clergy and the Black community for all of the discussion. It's taken some time to put this together because it wasn't easy, and that doesn't mean it's not meaningful. I believe this is meaningful. I believe this is a step. It's not a huge, gigantic jump, but it's a step in the right direction in terms of our community. And I will tell you this, that there is communities, there's cities out there that are watching us today. They have contacted folks that we've been working with and said, what's going on with this? What is this all about in terms of what is Akron doing, reference Columbus Day? And again, I would like to, so we are leading in this regard. And so with this, we're asking for support with this. I would be mistaken if I didn't say this. And, you know, Mr. Neal and I have had conversation on this and on the floor and off the floor and such. And Mr. Neal opened the discussion on this some time ago, and appreciate. And if we look at it, we've all grown, I believe, as council members as well as a community, as a result of those initial discussions. And this has kind of led us to where we are today. And so with that, I sincerely ask for council support on this. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Fusco. Are there any other comments or questions at this time. Councilman Malik?
Yes, I just wanted to mention that, we've discussed this over the past few weeks, and, as many people have said, the initial reason for Columbus Day was to, sort of include this immigrant group of Italian Americans who had come here and had been excluded from the American narrative and were becoming integrated in the mainstream white society. And as our understanding of the American story and the American narratives have expanded, so too our understanding of Columbus Day has changed. But I think, to Councilman Fusco's point, to a lot of the points that have been shared, this moment that we're all in asks us to consider what other narratives are being marginalized and are being excluded, and what narratives do we have a responsibility to bring up, whether it's folks who have an issue with how they're treated by the police, or whether it's folks who, are discriminated against because of their country of origin or their sexual identity or what have you. It's important to just constantly be thinking of, I know that we all have, we can all even look internally and see what work we each have to do. So I just wanted to, I think that's sort of why a lot of people are approaching this, even though it is a symbolic step.
Thank you so much, Councilman Malik. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate what's gone into this, but my concern is this, and so I have some questions before I make my comments. In the paper, it read that 16 different Italian associations were contacted, and then 3 pastors. So my question is this: if you wanted a well-balanced perspective, did anybody reach out to the African American Cultural Association? Did anybody reach out to the Kwanzaa Association? Did anybody reach out to the African Rites of Passage Association to get their feelings? And last but not least, did anybody reach out to the University of Akron's Rethinking Race? If we truly want to have a discussion about this and have a balanced approach to this, if we started working on this last year, why are we trying to rush this through in a week? If you could take the time to speak to the Italian Association, what about these core groups within the African American community? What about those within the indigenous Native American population? It was stated that the original resolution spoke out against the Italian community. It did not. It spoke directly to the atrocities of Christopher Columbus. It even mentioned that we celebrate the month of October as Italian Heritage Month. As I said this afternoon, you can try to skirt this issue, but Columbus Day is like the statues that are being torn down. It represents a man whose atrocities of murder and rape are documented by his own hands. It has nothing to do with the Italian community. I mentioned Kwanzaa. It's a 7-day celebration of the African American community. We don't ask the city to embrace that. As far as the Italian community celebrating, they have the whole month. But please understand, if you talk to any of those groups I spoke to, Columbus Day is a day that is stained. It is tainted. And when you look in the legislation, I don't know how many of you actually read the original piece, the original resolution, or actually compared it to the one that came in. Columbus Day is the issue, that date. You could call it whatever you want to. It is that date. Choose another day. Let's just leave that as Monday. If we really want to take into appreciation our entire community. As I mentioned earlier, the last piece that you just spoke of, the welcoming day, again, discounts the whole African experience because African Americans are not refugees and they're not immigrants. Yet the symbol that everybody holds up for immigrants coming into this community, the Statue of Liberty, was originally sent to this country to celebrate this country's abolishment of slavery. But even that has been twisted to tell a different story. So if this council is truly trying to be transparent, welcoming and engaging and want to have real dialogue, if you gave the Italian community the courtesy of close to a year's dialogue about this issue, give the African American community and the rest of our city the same courtesy.
At this time, are there any additional questions or comments from any other council members? Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. I did have an opportunity over the past few days to speak with John Valelo and also to Reverend Wallace, who gave me a lot of comfort and clarity, because I too was concerned, just basing my issues off of what happened in 2017. So I wanted to make sure that collectively, the various groups, the 14 different groups that John said he had met with, and he was honest with me about there was some pushback, but he was able to get everyone on the same page, but it took them some time to get there. And you know, this is their community, so they know they deal with things differently than we do in our community. So because of being able to talk to someone directly from that community and listening to him open and honest about, you know, there was some issues that they had to work through. It wasn't easy. And because of that, and it gave me comfort to support it. So I do support it. I just wanted to make sure that it wouldn't be like 2017 and just had one person supporting it. He did go out and talk to all the various groups, and that gave me some comfort with supporting this resolution.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Samples. Councilman Lombardo.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say that, you know, while Christopher Columbus, you know, may have had some indiscretions, I mean, he still is credited for the founding of the United States, of course, or America. You know, that's what I have been taught in history. But, you know, I'm sure that there's many other honored leaders of the United States that had some indiscretions, but, you know, possibly even George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, I don't know. But we still accept that these people, for the ultimate good that they did into the development of the United States of America. So my feeling is let the celebration continue with Italian Americans, but under a different name. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilman Swirsky. Councilman Swirsky, you're on mute.
Okay, look, there is general agreement by historians, by scientists. There were already people here when Christopher Columbus got close to our coastline. So he couldn't have discovered it. He had nothing to do with the founding of this country. So based on that, it would be a disservice to continue something that isn't true, the celebration of something that isn't true. It's also well documented that Christopher Columbus participated in very brutal, violent governmental actions, slave actions against the populations of the people that were here. That is why we are replacing Columbus Day. We are in the city of Akron, our city which represents a variety of nationalities, a variety of backgrounds. We stand together for justice, for the truth, for democracy. That is why we can no longer, as a city, celebrate or recognize Christopher Columbus. Now, if other groups want to still try to find the good in Christopher Columbus, they are welcome to do that. We are not a totalitarian state. We do not censor people or infringe upon any of their freedoms. But us as a city, as elected representatives, as people who are supposed to be pursuing truth and justice and equality for all, I believe that this is a good step forward towards dismantling in a small way some of the institutional racism that often gets transferred from generation to generation. By doing this today, we are helping to sever that tie with a moment of history that was totally misunderstood and provides inspiration and a misguided message to our citizens. So I'm very proud of what Mr. Fusco and others have done to try to rectify that situation. No step is going to go forward without some criticism or some people looking at something and saying, well, you did this, but you didn't do that. We're going to do something tonight, and I'm very proud of it. And it moves all of us closer together and forward towards a more modern city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Swirsky. And I just want to echo some of the statements that Councilman Swirsky brought forth, but also want to address Councilman Neal. I mean, there's an opportunity, of course, we could have had a whole lot more people at the table, but we had many conversations with people in the African-American community, not just with 3 pastors. We had conversations with the Akron Urban League, on with other organizations and other leaders in the community. Again, this is an opportunity, and why I am in full support of it, for Akron to lead, celebrating a day, not about Columbus, but celebrating a day and recognizing those who have made great contributions in the city of Akron within the Italian American community. And so, again, it's an opportunity for Akron to lead, opportunity for us to learn more about the Italian American heritage, and celebrate those who have made contributions. And so with that too, I hope that council will be willing to support this piece. At this time, before we call for the vote, are there any other comments or questions from anyone that has not had an opportunity to speak? I do see Councilman Neal's hand. Councilman Neal.
Yes, Madam President. I hear the contributions that the Italian community has made, and no one has discredited those. But what about the contributions that the African-American community, the Black community, has made to this nation? In the resolution, it talks about the contributions of the Italian community in the Revolutionary War. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War was a Black man. We say that about this day, but you got to connect this to what we did a couple years back, when to protect the Columbus Day, we moved Indigenous Peoples Day, or First Natives Day, First Peoples Day, to the first of the month of October. October, a month in which this city celebrates Italian Heritage Month. Again, I say, I don't know who you spoke to, but you spoke to the Italian Heritage Associations. No conversation was done with the African American Cultural Association, none with the Kwanzaa Association, none with the Rites of Passage Association. The Rethinking Race at the University of Akron, that has been handling race discussions within this city for over 30 years, close to 30 years, over 25 years. No conversation with them, and none with any of the indigenous population. This right here is what structural racism looks like. Nobody's trying to be unjust or racist, but the way the structure is, the disparity on how the conversations have taken place in different communities is obvious. Not the same consideration. And the challenge for all of us is that we have all been indoctrinated and miseducated from the same educational system. All of us thought in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue and founded America, but he didn't. Many of us are ignorant of the slave trade. And the challenge is, most of the institutions that we talk to have been tainted. As I mentioned, we talk about talking to pastors. It was the Catholic Church that ordained and the Christian church that upheld slavery. So my challenge is this: we as a council that have declared racism a public health crisis, the discussions that we have to have, we have to be true, transparent, honest, and open. And the way this legislation is being handled, especially in this COVID period where people can't even come and give public comment, to rush this through when the month that it would be celebrated is still a few months away, is unconscionable. It's unethical.
Okay. Thank you so much, Councilman Neal. Any other comments or questions at this time? Seeing and hearing none. Councilman Fusco?
I was just gonna mention that we do have a favorable report, I understand,
Yes.
from the committee. And if there's no other comments, I'd like to ask for the vote. If there's no other comments.
Okay. So the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Nay.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This resolution passes 12-1 with Councilman Neal. Item number 3, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a type A child daycare home at 1355 Blackstone Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
The request of the committees to refer and advertise for a public hearing.
This item will be referred.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and if awarded, accept and expend FY 2020 Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant funding from the Economic Development Administration's Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act, Recovery Assistance, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. The report of the committees for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. This is a request for funding, an application, and if awarded, we would receive approximately $6,300,000. Again, this is a reference to the COVID and economic development. We're hoping that these funds would help upgrade and help build out certain components of the bounce building facility. And urge council to vote on this evening, as it is timely in terms of forwarding this application for funding.
Thank you so much. At this time, are there any other comments or questions from any council members? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 5, offered by Samples and Freeman, ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of 4th Street between the termini of Maryland Avenue and Kenmore Boulevard by paving, grading, constructing and reconstructing curbs, concrete sidewalks and driveway approaches, installing roof drain pipes and planting trees, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples?
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable. They're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
I have nothing further unless Councilman Freeman does.
Councilman Freeman?
No, just so everybody knows, I mean, people on 4th Street appreciate this, but this also does affect some Akron equipment, and this is the egress for one of our fire departments as well. So we're getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 6, offered by Samples. Ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of South Hawkins Avenue between the termini of Iona Avenue and Mull Avenue by resurfacing and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Nothing further.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Sorry, it was muted. Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky. Swirsky,
Aye. You guys keep turning it off on me. I didn't turn it on.
is that an aye?
That's aye 3 times.
Thank you. This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 7, offered by Samples. Ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of Ascot Parkway between the termini of State Road and the cul-de-sac by paving, grading, constructing and reconstructing curbs and driveway approaches, and installing roof drain pipes and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 8, offered by Samples. Ordinance levying special assessments for the improvement of certain streets between certain termini, 2019 Phase 1 Arterial Collector Program by resurfacing such streets with asphaltic concrete 402/404 and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, the committee's report is favorable and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Nothing further.
The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 9, offered by Samples. Ordinance levying special assessments for the improvement of certain streets between certain termini, 2019 Phase 1 Residential Resurfacing Program by resurfacing such streets with asphaltic concrete 402/404 and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 10, offered by Samples. Ordinance levying special assessments for the improvement of certain streets between certain termini, 2019 Phase 1 unimproved street resurfacing program by treating the surface thereof with substances designed to preserve the surface and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Heather.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Thank you. Hear me? Aye.
thank you. Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 11, offered by Swirsky. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for, and if granted, enter into an agreement or agreements with the water supply revolving loan account for various water supply capital improvement projects and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Swirsky.
The committee's report was favorable, and we're asking for a suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Swirsky, do you have any further comments?
No, it's just something that's necessary, and if there's money available, I'm glad we're applying for it.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman, Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 1, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts with Ornet to purchase VMware, NSX, and vSphere licensing and support and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Upgrading computer system will add some, forget the word now. I want to say virtual networks to our computer system. With that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 2, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent or her designee to enter into a contract or contracts for a property insurance policy to insure against any loss or catastrophic event that would cause damage to the Ohio Canal Interceptor Tunnel and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Today, and our report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
As we all know, the tunnel project, 6,000-foot tunnel beneath downtown Akron for our renewal waterway program has been completed. This would give us the ability to have insurance on that tunnel in the event of a catastrophic failure. And with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 3, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the clerk of the Akron Municipal Court to enter into a contract without the formality of advertising for bids with Mapsys Incorporated for the purpose of purchasing a used Power 8 server with related licenses and service for the Akron Municipal Court's IBM Power 720 server relocation project, approving the specifications therefore and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Again, the committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This will give the city the ability to purchase a used piece of equipment to help our court system with their cases. And with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 4, offered by Mayor Horrigan, ordinance adopting Title IX General Provisions, Chapter 105, Public Art Program, establishing the Public Art Program, authorizing the Akron Art Master Plan, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, the committee met today. It was a very good meeting. We have asked that this item be referred for 1 week, but I would encourage any of my colleagues, if you did not get to hear that presentation, you may want to go out and see the recording that we have of that committee meeting today, but we are asking that be referred to our regular agenda.
This item will be referred.
Item number 5, offered by Mayor Horrigan, resolution expressing support for the Akron Cultural Plan and adopting the Akron Public Art Master Plan and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This is a resolution from this council stating that we are highly in favor of the program that we spoke of in just the prior ordinance. And with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Item number 6, offered by Swirsky, Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts with Cleveland Valve and Gauge for the emergency purchase of a 30-inch butterfly valve and declaring an emergency.
Councilman
Committee's report is
Sworsky.
favorable. Whoops.
Go ahead, Councilman Sworsky.
Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on
Gotta
suspension
get
of the
that butterfly
rules?
valve.
Seeing and hearing no objections on the suspension of the rules, Councilman Sworsky, do you now have any further comments?
Yeah, obviously we probably need this butterfly valve, and we shouldn't waste any time in going out and getting it.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 7, offered by Swirsky. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract without the formality of advertising for bids to purchase services and furnishings from High Touch Business Services LLC for workstations at the city's water reclamation facility, approving specifications therefore and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Sworsky.
Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Sworsky, do you have any further comments?
Yes, just this is a little bit more protection for the people who have to go to work at that location, providing a little bit more social distancing. And I think it's really good that the city can provide that for them.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 8, offered by Swirsky. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract without the formality of advertising for bids to purchase IPAC's annual software maintenance from Infotech and Consulting Incorporated for use at the city's water reclamation facility and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Sworsky.
Committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Sworsky.
No further comment.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0.
Thank you. We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. And at this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to read in our public comments for this evening.
Okay, this first one is from Nicholas Cassiopo. Dear council members, President Somerville, and Mayor Horgan, I respectfully ask that the tragic death of Brian Powers be given the attention it rightfully deserves. As we celebrate Juneteenth and Pride Month, please remember that too often Black, trans, and queer folk are forgotten, dismissed, and subjected to extreme violence. The overall lack of outrage and silence by the city of Akron and the Akron Police Department in this case is deafening and shines poorly on the city's commitment to Black and LGBTQIA+ communities. Additionally, I implore all council members to take seriously the demands to defund the Akron Police Department and to avoid deliberating over semantics. When people say defund, they mean just that. Actually reducing the size of the police department budget and redirecting those funds to community-led and life-affirming organizations is the ultimate goal. Contrary to what some would believe, defunding the police is not an extreme idea. This city, this state, and this country have routinely cut the budgets for education, social services, housing, and a myriad of other essential services. Genuinely, how is cutting the police department budget any different? Many would argue that what is extreme is expecting the police to solve in any meaningful way the underlying conditions that produce crime in the first place. Please understand that our resources must be used to alleviate these underlying socioeconomic causes of crime rather than policing, punishing, and caging people whose basic needs are often unmet. Council would do well to remember that no one is born a criminal. Everyone is deserving of humanity and compassion, and we can absolutely imagine a different future when providing for people is prioritized over policing them. I look forward to an honest and genuine discussion about these concerns about the solutions that many in the city and around the country have been proposing. I am more than willing to provide educational resources and literature to any council person unopposed to learning about these important issues. Thank you for your time and consideration. This one is from Anthony Beatty. Hello, I am writing to demand that you vote no on all increases to police budgets, vote yes to decrease police spending and budgets, vote yes to increase spending on healthcare, education, and community programs that keep us safe. Black communities across the nation are mourning the deaths of George Floyd, tortured to death by Minneapolis police, Ahmaud Arbery, a jogger who was killed while running in a residential neighborhood in Brunswick, Georgia, Breonna Taylor, an EMT killed while asleep in her bed in Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Reed in Indianapolis, and Tony McDade in Tallahassee. Their names are added to a devastatingly long list of Black people who have been killed at the hands of vigilantes or law enforcement, not to mention the others whose names we don't know yet and may never know since they were killed without a camera recording it. At the same time, the United States leads the world in COVID-19 cases. So far, more than 100,000 people, enough to fill a football stadium, have perished from the virus with over 1 million cases confirmed. Those numbers don't even reflect all the people dying from virus-related illnesses. Black people are suffering disproportionately from COVID-19. They are 4 times more likely to die than their white neighbors. It's important to state that within the context of the scourge of anti-Black police terror and the resulting uprisings taking place across the United States. The COVID-19 deaths and the deaths caused by police terror are connected and correlated. The United States does not have a national healthcare system. Instead, we have the largest military budget in the world and some of the most well-funded and militarized police departments in the world. Policing and militarization overwhelmingly dominate national and local budgets. In fact, police and military funding has increased every single year since 1973, and at the same time, funding for public health decreased every year, crystallized most recently when the Trump administration eliminated the U.S. pandemic response team in 2018, citing costs. Black communities are living in persistent fear of being killed by state authorities like police officers, immigration agents, or even white vigilantes who are emboldened by state actors. According to the Urban Institute, in 1977, state and local governments spent $60 billion on police and corrections. In 2017, they spent $194 billion, a 220% increase. Despite continued profiling, harassment, terror, and killing of Black communities, local and federal decision makers continue to invest in the police, which leaves Black people vulnerable and our communities no safer. Where could that money go? It could go towards building healthy communities, to the health of our elders and children, to neighborhood infrastructure, to education, to childcare, to support a vibrant Black future. The possibilities are endless. We join in solidarity with the freedom fighters in Minneapolis, Louisville, and across the United States, and we call for the end to police terror. Racism and white supremacy have gone unchecked and been swept under the rug in this country far too many times. And that is 3 minutes is up. And the final one is from Gwen Adams. Says Akron has not contacted me yet. I have tried to talk to some of the council members without success. It has suggested that I borrow the money from my son. Why should I have to? The city is at fault. There is a sinkhole, not a pothole. And that's the final public comment.
Thank you so much. Want to thank all of those who have participated during our public comment period for this evening. We will now go into our committee assignments. Councilman Fusco.
Planning at
Planning.
1 o'clock.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Councilman Neal.
1:45.
Public Service, Councilwoman Samples.
2 p.m.
Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
2:15.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
2:30.
Rules, Councilman Freeman.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
3 p.m.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco.
Subject to call.
Is there anything else coming before council at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, we have Councilman Swirsky who has a comment.
No. I was just going to
Okay.
second.
Okay, so Councilman Swirsky is going to second our motion for adjournment. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville presiding.